Youth services were non-existent at that time.
Non-existent at that time. Even youth pastors. There was nothing like youth pastors. In fact, later,
Yes.
when I became a youth, we knew each other. Well, like just the selected few. Yes, we even knew each other's Sunday best. When you really want to step out. Pastor Kuchio, the green jacket.
Now, from church perspective, which churches are there at this time that were even attending a church in Nakuru when you go back home? Like, explain to me the church landscape. Yeah.
So when I was in Nakuru, I was attending Nakuru Christian Center. So when I moved to Nairobi, of course I moved to the sister or what was of a Christian Center church here was International Christian Center.
ICC.
ICC. And they used to meet at Ufungamano Hall, which is just in campus.
Yes.
So I quickly started going to ICC. Who
was the pastor there at the time?
I forget, but there was some Caucasian American pastors.
They were not African pastors.
No, they were not African pastors then. Eh? But then you're young, and then somebody else tells you there's another happening church called Lighthouse.
Lighty.
They meet in a hotel. So Sunday we rock in there. Then somebody else says there's another church called Nairobi Baptist. It has a youth pastor. Those days there were not many youth pastors. And they have a youth service. That was big. Because at that time, but at Bapo saying youth service.
Yeah.
We had never, across the country, never had. And then we had come from seasons where youth groups were guys even in their 40s. But this was real.
Yes.
This was the oldest people in the youth group were college students. And it was happening. They're the ones who were in the band. This was before we had big musical instruments.
Yes.
So the likes of Kina Peter Odera were the ones now shaking this city. We're like, hey, Baptist was happening. Nairobi Baptist was the place to be as a youth.
So for context, at this time, Nairobi Baptist is Bethel. Is what we call Bethel.
Yes,
that
the
big
small.
sanctuary
No, it
doesn't
was not
exist.
there. It wasn't there.
But in that place, they had a youth service.
Yes.
Youth services were non-existent at that time.
Non-existent at that time. Even youth pastors. There was nothing like youth pastors. In fact, later,
Yes.
when I became a youth, we knew each other. Well, like just the selected few. Yes, we even knew each other's Sunday best. When you really want to step out. Pastor Kuchio, the green jacket. Well, I don't know if it was for a hockey club or what. Like a woolen hot thing.
Okay, let's go back to this thing that you said. ICC is not on Mombasa Road.
No,
ICC
that time was in
at
Ufungamano House. Yes.
There and it's.
But it didn't have a youth service.
It didn't have a youth service.
It was my home church, and I'd go there. And remember, this is the time I'm beginning now to serve.
91, 92.
Yes, and I'm beginning to serve. I want to do things, and I'd go there. I think I'm not musically inclined. I can't be in the worship team. So I even went one time and told the senior pastor's wife, I really want to serve. And she took my name, but nothing ever panned out. Wow. And I always tell people even now, don't ask people to sign up for something you don't have capacity to follow up on. So I felt so disillusioned. So somebody told me, let's go to Nairobi Baptist. So for a while we went to Nairobi Baptist. Then because I loved to pray, somehow when I became a believer, and maybe the high school space I talked about, so I started looking for where I could go even for night prayer meetings, once a month, the Keshas, the night vigils. So I used to go to Sitam, Valley Road, for night vigil, even if I'm going alone.
Which is not called Sitam at the time?
Yes, it was called Nairobi Pentecostal. And that time it was the one. They didn't have these other ones we see.
What?
So in Nairobi, we knew International Christian Center, Nairobi Pentecostal Church, Nairobi Baptist, and Lighthouse.
And Lighty are meeting in a hotel in town?
Yes.
Not at the stadium even?
It was actually meeting at Silver Springs.
So
if you wanted posh, so I only went to Lighty once. And actually that is what changed my church hopping. I used to do Baptist with hop. We'd meet on Saturday nights. Where are we going to church? We decide. We dress up, we go. The same Bible study group. So one time we said, let's go to Laiti. So we go to Nairobi Lighthouse, happening posh. And the pastor Don, yes. So he said, any visitors? We are here, we put up our hands, we were welcomed. And then he started preaching. He said, today my sermon is about church hopping. And those who are visitors here, I love you, but if you have a home church, stay there next Sunday. And if you don't have a church, better decide this Sunday. That's what took us back to our rooms. We said, guys, we need to get serious. Which is our church? We were just going, every Sunday would go different places. If there's a concert happening in Ziwani, we are there. If we're just, you are free as campus students.
From the Eastland sides, what churches are there? A lot
I
of
don't,
times,
I don't know
because you're not going there.
My friend Faith Obunde used to go to IC Ziwani. So, and then she used to write plays.
She used to go
there.
to
Oh, the other happening church was Loresho.
Oh, Loresho.
And the Loresho, yes. And they do music concerts for the first youth music concerts.
Live.
Live.
I remember
Yes. So we'd always be doing things but not really committed to a church until that Sunday. So we came back and then we began to notice at Nairobi Chapel, Kinashiko and Paul moved to
Nairobi Chapel.
Yes.
Okay, now that we've talked about, I've understood the landscape of churches at that time.
Yes.
Some of the churches that you've mentioned, like ICC, is so huge right now in so many different places across Kenya.
And even in Nairobi.
But
at that time,
locations.
One congregation at Ufungamano.
When I introduced you today, I said you're a grandparent in terms of church.
Yes.
But Mavuno is non-existent. Nairobi Chapel is being birthed.
Yes.
Let's talk about the birth of Nairobi Chapel, because Nairobi Chapel has, I think, over 100 churches at its birth. Explain to us that genesis of how it comes to be.
Yeah. So when we came into campus, there's this church that is currently Mamlaka Chapel.
Yes.
So at that time it was just called Nairobi Chapel, but legally Nairobi and Denominational Church.